Shut up, be quiet, I'm recording.
Sexy hairless.
Shh. So, the door was left wide open when we got back. So, I had a feeling that they were going to meet us kind of at the front gate, or some gang stalker in the neighborhood. Usually it's the neighbor or this one here that has all of these video surveillance cameras, or somebody in their family. So anyways, but they're constantly fluctuating. So they're forever fluctuating. And I had a sneaking suspicion that they would meet us at the gate like they typically do, that there would be somebody here in the street gang stalking, kind of mirroring us. And you know, they leave when we leave, or just after, or just before, and then they get back the same exact way, either just before or just after, or at the same exact time. They park the same exact way that we park. I've showed you guys an example of that. They'll like reverse their car and park it exactly the way that we do. So all of this mirroring is some sort of like, it basically imposes its own will onto its victim, because it gets that mirroring practice deep down into the psyche and deep down into the subconscious, and it becomes muscle memory, which is why I have Jerron purchasing a flatbed truck and just leaving it there, and things like that, things of that nature. These are all things that in a different context and a different setting, if I was in a TI or labeled like some sort of a terrorist or national security threat, then you know, this would be considered domestic violence. Absolutely, 110%. And this slander could end up being the reason why these people get, you know, sued. And it could be a different situation in a different context, in a different setting. But I will say that they did not meet us at the gate like I thought they would. There was one person that followed just behind us. So they did pull in, and this person was in this truck over here in the corner. And I got them, I'm pretty sure, on video surveillance as well as soon as we got here. But I wanted to check the surveillance to see if we had to contact the police, because as soon as we got here, the front door, our front door to the RV, was left wide open. And so that was the trauma-based mind control, or the punishment for leaving, or just whatever. Now, if you've taken any time at all out to actually research and study, you don't just read it one time, you actually have to study this stuff, okay? Then you'll see that they're not typically encouraged to steal. And if they do, then it's usually an item of some low value. But God only knows what the fuck they did when they got in here, because when I checked my security cameras, it's completely blank. Look, I'll show you. So I guess if we're not here, there won't be a connection of any sort. So there won't be, you can see there would be a little green dot on these days right here that we were gone. And there's nothing, look. So there's no way to know for sure, like, who left it open. But it's absolutely 110% a community effort. So they're all complicit in this. And if it's that easy for them to stage a break-in or to leave the door open, which is also why open doors are like a desensitization method that they desensitize their victims to, because they leave your shit open like that. They've done it to my vehicles many times, and we've already had to report this to the police before, because they've stolen stuff from Jerron, like his work laptop, and this is exactly and precisely what they do. This is exactly and precisely their game, and it's even in their handbook manual. So they're also able to intercept technological devices and glitch or destroy the file or the data or the evidence altogether. So it doesn't surprise me that you don't see anything on these days that we weren't here, because they could have very easily just intercepted and deleted everything. It really is that easy for them. So, you know, you'd be really surprised, and I'm going to keep it whole 100 with this, and be very as precise and thorough as I possibly can be with this report and this investigation. So, so anyways, we are already, you know, kind of, this is their little way of, you know, trying to let you know that they got their foot in the door. And it's like, what the fuck do I have that they possibly want? But they've taken it all already, down to the intellectual property, and capitalized off of that. It's about time they recognize you. So anyways, so Sunday, June 9th, 2024, we got 8:59 on the clock here. And I just wanted to briefly mention how statistics say, data analysis shows, and they have proven, that 80% of these so-called quote-unquote gunmen are actually victims of some sort of a sex crime like rape or child sex trafficking. And you know, that really got me to thinking, because nobody just wakes up and thinks, wow, today seems like a great day for a massacre. Well, at least I've never met anybody like this. I've never known anybody like this personally. So something is causing these people, with all of this trauma and all of these triggers, to go off. So what is the primary source? If it's not the COINTELPRO and their depopulation agenda, or their New World Order, and these targets, if they're not helping this COINTELPRO or aiding them in their depopulation agenda, then what else could it possibly be? I'm asking a serious question. And the families of this, they're owed restitutions. So also, I'll ask this other question coming here next. Wait for it, because I know it's your favorite one. When are their restitutions coming? Because they're owed restitutions. And so because these gunmen, quote unquote gunmen, are owed restitutions, they're initiated into this blood gang by this occult scapegoating ritual. They're initiated into this death cult, and they're taking their restitutions the only way that they know how. And they're also they're hitting a kill switch, and they're force quitting. They're forfeiting this simulation. They're forfeiting the hypersimulation. They're forfeiting the gang stalking and the trauma-based mind control that is the primary source and the primary cause of the trigger, not the gun itself. And so there is a very real system, a very lethal and dangerous system in place to depopulate victims of rape culture. And it's some sort of a synthetic suicide programming. And with this COINTELPRO psyop and this psychological warfare, all of the stuff that happens in reality, in base reality, it's really not a big deal. It wasn't really a gigantic deal. It wasn't a big deal. It's not that serious. It's not that traumatic. Okay, it really wasn't a big deal. But with this COINTELPRO 2.0, they make it a fucking gigantic trauma. They make it a bigger deal by continuing the karmic will, keeping that cycle open, that violent cycle of abuse and sexual exploitation and just whatever trauma and whatever triggers that you have, performing all of this trauma-based mind control and this street theater non-stop, 24/7, around the clock. Now, you can't tell me that I'm hallucinating when I have video footage and an overwhelming amount of evidence. Camera surveillance doesn't hallucinate. Cameras don't, make stuff up that you can't. How do you explain that? So you can't just explain this away and try to sweep this under the carpet with all of this trauma-based mind control. Because there's an overwhelming amount of evidence on my program, in my books, and just statistically and in data analysis. this is the way that things have been going for a very long time. And so, because some of these victims of rape culture are aware that they are owed more money in restitutions than these COINTELPRO military informants and military police and their families' lives are even worth combined, that's why. That's why they force quit, that's why they forfeit, and that's why they hit the kill switch, because they don't want no part of this. The idea is to heal them, not to kill them. But with this counterculture and this COINTELPRO 2.0, them making an electronic holocaust and creating a bigger trauma and a bigger traumatic circle so that they can continue this ritual abuse and this occult ritual scapegoating and all of this sexual torment and trauma and exploitation and extortion, and there's just so many mobbings happening one after another. First of all, when there's that much corruption and there's that much, they're 10 steps ahead of us everywhere we go, following us everywhere we are, and video surveilling our every movement, and walking in on me while I'm in the bathroom perpetually, trying to make me intimidated, trying to keep me in a perpetual state of anxiety and PTSD, because I am a victim of rape culture. So you walk in on somebody with trauma and triggers who's a victim or a survivor of rape culture, that could be the fucking last time. And you will notice it's always an old person doing this too, because they already know. Like I said, it's 10 steps ahead, maybe 20, 25. I don't give a fuck. You put whatever number you want right there. I'm doing the Lord's work, speaking the truth. That is the gospel. You can judge me all you want. You placate to rape culture and child sex trafficking. When you go and you sit in them pews, you sitting right next to all of the pedophiles in the neighborhood that exploit everybody in the community. When you go and you take communion, you're participating in occult ritual sacrifice, and that's satanic. I want nothing to do with that. My Jesus is very much alive. He never died. So get out of here with that. Thank you very much. The Jesus and the God that I serve is very much alive. So get out of here with that. Thank you very much. So anyways, the point that I'm making is that I've already provided an overwhelming amount of evidence on my program. And I've gone over in my books how less than 1% of pedophiles, child molesters, and rapists actually end up going to jail or prison and doing any time. Less than 1%. And they're using this excuse like this is happening to everybody. So I guess at the end of the day, I can sleep pretty easy knowing that pretty much everybody's children, wives, sisters, whatever, they're all being exploited. And not that it's okay. It's absolutely not in my book. Okay. So that's the reason why I do the program as well. And they're going to say that because it's happening to everybody, they're going to try to give everybody universal basic income. Except they want, with one exception, and they don't want targeted individuals to get universal basic income, which is why they harass me at the welfare office so that I will leave. So they synchronize the color pink with a nightmare that I had, which is a part of the torture, the dream manipulation technology. I've gone over this tons of times, is a part of their torture. And so that is what they're using in order to adhere painful stimuli. And so then they synchronize this with street theater and so on and so forth. And so it is always blaming its victim for what it is guilty for doing. And so it'll try to call me some sort of a pedophile or something like that because it's guilty for exploiting my children and especially when I was a child. Oh, absolutely, 110%. And so, yeah, it's definitely in debt for sure. I don't know why it's out here trying to use, meth heads and tweakers and convicted felons to police my speech. But the truth is my weapon and I use it. So what I was going to say, though, is there's no possible way to capture it all on video footage, especially when I'm on vacation. The last thing I wanted to do was complain about these gang stalkers while I was on vacation. So I didn't video footage anything. And besides that, like I said, it's impossible to capture every little thing. But one of the things I did want to mention is how in the lower parts of like California, they were doing a lot less of the headlight harassment. So that's mainly just here, like in Seattle and in Moses Lake so far. That's been the bulk of it here. Out here in Moses Lake, Washington is where they're doing a ton of the death spells and the death magic with the headlight harassment. Since, I don't really want to go there, but they did terminate a very close relative of Geron's. So, and that was done in a mock death ritual. So, yeah, I know you guys remember when the next door neighbor came knocking on my door and they glitched my phone and I wasn't able to record at first, and it took me a minute to get my phone working. I actually had to reset it and everything. But when I did go out there, I finally did get it to start recording. And they almost bust my door down that time. And so this, like busting your door down so that you'll use that gun, so that you'll be forced to shoot somebody, or breaking in on you, trying to get you, or myself, I should say myself rather, but I'm saying you because if you're listening to this, then you are probably a TI too. So anyways, but as a female TI, they like to make you feel very vulnerable so they can trigger your anxiety and PTSD, or also to try to get you in trouble, to manufacture a faulty mental health diagnosis, and to manufacture a criminal or a medical record and history, so you will have a dirtied up name, so that when you go to speak, people in the community will have a reason to discredit what you're saying. So like I said in an earlier video, most of the people who are really, really goners are the ones that smoked too much meth, did way too much coke, and these are the ones that are deeply, deeply codependent onto these systems. And because they're codependent onto these systems, they are probably the worst when it comes to radicalization. So when the street theater affects them, they become radicalized instantaneously. And so that is a huge, huge problem. And so I would say those who lack a conscience, and in my opinion, if you're willing to do coke, then you probably don't care about anything in the world. In my opinion, if you're willing to do meth, then you probably don't care about anything in the world. In my opinion, if you're willing to do crack cocaine, then you probably don't care about anything in the world, and that includes yourself. It's a very, very sad system, but this is the reality. This is the truth. And so because it doesn't care about itself, it doesn't care about those around it, and it's very predatorial in nature. And it's also doesn't have a conscience, doesn't think that the way that it's behaving is even worth thinking about, although it does sit there and ruminate constantly and obsess over every little word that everybody says, including itself. They're just words, let it go. Just like the other day, I was reviewing some of the photos I recently took, and I had a really swollen eye. I didn't give a fuck. They're just photos. Who cares? It shouldn't bother nobody that much. But you can see that these socialized sociopaths and these covert narcissists, they struggle the most. And they're the ones that become easy targets because they're the ones that become radicalized with the street theater. They have complete amnesia. They forget that that's an enemy and this is a battlefield, and we're on the battlefield for the truth, okay? Not the deception or the lies. And so these hoovering narcissists that work for the military police, these military informants, that's what they're doing. They're hoovering. That's what a hoovering narcissist does. And the truth and facts are how we defeat these things, because it actually is afraid when it is confronted with facts, when it is confronted with truth. That's what it fears the most. Because all it does is lie about me, about my family. And so, but it's all right. Jerron just forgot. Okay, so I'm going to go over some things here. They had some gang stalkers outside while we were in Tulare. And there were probably close to a dozen of them, actually. Quite a bit. Quite a fucking bit. I would say close to 10, maybe even more. But at least a good 10. So they're thought police. So what they're doing is profiling the psyche in order to police thoughts, dreams, and anything like that, speech as well. And so this is actually the primary source or the primary cause to why these victims are psychologically distressed. And because it's abusing technology, it knows exactly what to say or do to get you triggered. I've kind of already gone over this. But another one of the things that I wanted to mention, though, is how, when you're dealing with these gang stalkers out on the street with this New World Order or this New World Disorder and this depopulation agenda, with all this demonology and this Satanism, this Luciferian brotherhood and this occult ritual abuse, when you're out here and you're dealing with this, if they open up their mouth to speak to you, it's so weird because, I have a gigantic imagination, and like literally when these things open their mouths, I can see the demons just falling out. I don't actually see it. It's not a hallucination or anything like that. It's more of a fantasy. I could just, in my mind, I can close my eyes and I could see it. Like as soon as it opens the door for you, you become possessed. As soon as it opens its mouth to speak to you and ask you if it can, hey boss, can I borrow that lighter? Like, how stupid, bitch, I will fucking slap the dog shit out of you, bitch. You are stupid as fuck for that. So that's not really my point. The point that I am making is, one, we have to learn as TIs to pick and choose our battles wisely. We have, number two, that's number one. Pick and choose your battles wisely. These people ain't worth shit, bitch. Understand that. Get it? Got it? Good. They're not worth your time. They're not worth your words. They're not worth your slaps. Ooh, Lord, don't let me slap it. Don't let me pop it. Okay? Please don't let me kill anybody. That's what I pray to the good Lord every single day. Dear Heavenly Father, I come before you today not to ask for anything but one thing only. Please, Lord, do not let me kill one of these damn gang stalkers. Thank you, Heavenly Father. Amen. So anyways, I know the good Lord will forgive me. I know he will. That's my God. Okay, thank you. Don't talk about my God. Talk about your God. So anyways, well, number one, they're not worth your time. You have to learn to pick and choose your battles wisely. These people aren't worth shit. They're not worth your time, your attention, your words, your slaps, your nothing. Your credit score, your debt, your karma, nothing. They're not worth none of this, okay? They're dog shit. And then also too, you got to practice Tai Chi, mental Tai Chi, because it's profiling your psyche, and it knows what to say and what to do to get you triggered. And it's going to do exactly that. These ones specifically try to play on my fear of rejection. And so they really try to weasel their way in there with this dark psychology and this psychological warfare to make me feel a certain type of way and to get me insecure or to trigger my anxiety or my PTSD. And the reason why this is so important is because they can and they have the ability to trigger a sleeper assassin. So that's why this is important. Okay? So, but typically we don't talk to strangers for free. Yeah, like I said, it's so weird. As soon as it opens its mouth, it's just like, I can see it. Like I can just see all of it. Like, ew, it's just disgusting to me. And then of course you have to guard your, so this is probably number 3 then, I guess. You have to guard your attention like your life depends on it, because it's a distraction agent. And it's here to demonically possess you and to give you that spirit of fear, that lie, that insecurity is a lie. So yeah, you need to learn how to say no when they ask you for your lighter. You need to learn how to stand up for yourself and how to say the words and speak the words no. It's that simple. It's that simple. If they have taken enough from you, no. It's really, really, really easy. You want me to do it one more time? I know you love it when I say the word no. Stand up for yourself, okay? Because if I have to do it, it's going to be violent. And I don't want it to be violent, okay? So you need to learn how to do this for yourself. I shouldn't have to be telling no adult man how to speak the words no to 2 little teenage meth head, crackhead, whatever the fuck they are. So anyways, additionally, I don't advocate for people to be smoking if they don't have epilepsy or cancer. So I am just going to throw that out there. Those of you who don't have epilepsy or cancer, you ain't got no business smoking weed, okay? None at all. That's my weed. You should have been jacked for that weed. The fuck? So anyways, I do advocate for those of you that are like myself with epilepsy or cancer. The rest of you make us all look bad like we're a bunch of drug addicts. I am not. So anyways, and then last but not least, I wrote down here, just let me get through these frickin' notes, Jesus Christ, without ripping a hole in this one. So be the first to build rapport, because it's going to come out to try to mirror you. And that's why it was out there. That's why I was smoking. That's literally what we were doing. What a co-winky dink. Oh, wow. That's literally what we were doing. And then so just remember, you got to learn to pick and choose your battles. Nobody is worth it, especially not these chicken shit ass fucking gang stalkers. I will fucking slap them. Matter of fact, when we were leaving, they had one meth head that was talking out of her ass. She almost fell into the trash can. She was so high off of meth or whatever she was on. Oh my God, she had me laughing so hard. She had me laughing so hard. And she got so out of pocket with me. I fucking told that bitch, I will fucking slap you, you fucking stupid ass bitch. So anyways, I'm gonna have to censor this, y'all. I'm sorry, I apologize, but it really got crazy like that because they're overstepping their boundary. You can see how the door's open, you know, all this little shit that they're constantly doing nonstop. The lady on the top with the blue dress, she wore that blue dress the whole entire time we were there with the same stanky ass fucking panties. Disgusting, girl. And then, you know, these two little ones that asked Jerron, my security, that's supposed to be doing his job, girl, you know, it's like they're the ones that got dropped on their fucking heads. What type of limbo land is this? What type of loco lane am I on? What type of Alice in Wonderland shit? What type of tea did I drink? Okay? So yeah, so if fear's the truth is a weapon. Use it to initiate first contact, because when you do that, you are in your alpha energy, your divine light, okay, your highest self, like your customer service voice, you know, that higher frequency that we have to kind of stretch and exercise to reach up to get. Sometimes those of us like me. But so anyways, that's what I'm saying. You have to say no. It's very, very simple. Say no. Say the words no. Because if you don't say no, you're going to start an argument in your relationship. Is it really worth it? Ask yourself that. And if these weapons are not effective, then why is domestic violence and terrorism so prevalent in our communities, in our relationships, in our families, and in our homes? And you know, it's a respect thing. It's a respect thing at the end of the day. If you're in a committed relationship, like you should be, or at least you want to work towards that, you're trying to work towards that, then you respect boundaries. It's really, really simple. And it's very, very easy to say no. So this whole situation right here is exactly why I was going to go by myself. And it just reminded me and put me right back in that energy and put me right back in that space. This is exactly why. This is exactly why. Because it can't even stick up for its own self, let alone me. And now you see, it's getting to the point where I'm getting hurt. Like actually hurt. Because this thing can't even do the most simple, basic thing, respect boundaries, and simply say no.